Hello everyone, Jarrett with PMI Riverside here, and today we're going to talk about allowing pets inside of your rental property. The way this is going to work is I'm going to give you the pros of allowing pets, the cons of allowing pets, how to mitigate or protect yourself from the cons of allowing pets, and the actual legality behind allowing pets. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, what are the pros of allowing pets? Well, you get an additional monthly income through pet rent. This is about $30 depending on what you feel comfortable with charging. I personally would never go over about $50 though, and this is a per pet charge. Next, pet-friendly properties actually lease faster. We've seen an upwards of 60% increase in leasing time when we allow pets inside of a property. Next, you have a larger tenant pool. According to a recent study done, over 57.2% of renters have a pet, meaning if you don't allow pets, you are losing out on over half of your tenant pool. Half. That's something that you should have, okay? Also, tenants are more likely to stay longer when they are allowed to bring their pets inside of a rental property. It makes it feel more like home. And most rentals still aren't pet friendly, so you get to be ahead of the curve and have a longer staying tenant and a happier tenant, right? And that brings us to the next thing, where you have lower vacancy costs, reduced turnover, and higher lifetime value per tenant. Now, that's the pros, so let's talk about the cons, okay? Pets come with the potential for property damage, so things like scratching the walls, pet odors like pee, chewing on baseboards, stuff like that. And then you have the potential for noise complaints from barking, the problem of unauthorized or hidden pets, as well as liability risk from bites or injuries, and then finally, breed or size concerns. Now, don't get me wrong, that is a lot of stuff to worry about, but thankfully, there is a great way to stop all of these cons from happening. So, let's break it down. First off, to fully protect yourself, make sure you use some sort of screening tool for the pets before the tenant moves in. We personally like to use petscreening.com, but you can use any other reputable source you see fit. Again, that's petscreening.com. What this does is it protects you from violent or dangerous pets and helps you figure out whether or not you should actually allow the pet inside the property. Next up, in order to protect yourself from damage, you can always include somewhere on the lease that there will be an additional fee for any pet damage that occurs to the property during the time of tenancy. So, you can't really stop noise complaints. I'm not going to really go into that one too much, but I will do the other ones. Anyways, so let's move on to that. Unauthorized or hidden pets, you can do a few things. One, most unauthorized or hidden pets you're going to come across are because of the fact that the tenants aren't allowed to have pets in the home. So if you allow pets, you usually won't have that problem. Now, the best thing there is why you do that. You get additional income from the pet fee, and you don't really have to worry about those hidden pets, right? And you could also just have your repairmans know what type of pets they have, or if they're even allowed pets. That way, if they see something suspicious, they can report it to you. And if they do find an unauthorized pet, the repairman, you can give the tenant a 3-day cure or quit notice, or you can charge them accordingly if you decide the pet can stay. Next up, with liability risk from bites as well as the breed and size concerns, you really wouldn't have to worry about that if you are using petscreening.com or those other reputable sources of things, right? And you can also have a list of restricted dog breeds as well that would really help. It's very, very helpful. Now, for legal considerations, you have to make sure that you understand the following laws. AB 12, AB 2801, and then there's a bunch of other laws as well that are just in the California legislature. So what AB 12 does is it limits security deposits to 1 month's rent unless you are exempt. So pet deposits are not allowed unless you have 2 or fewer properties and you are not an LLC/corporation. Pet rent is allowed if it's part of the total rent, and AB 2801 requires move-in/move-out photos and proof for any deductions. Also, you must allow service animals and emotional support animals with proper documentation and certifications, and you cannot charge pet fees or a pet deposit for those animals. So that's all I have, guys. Hopefully you learned something, and if you did, please like and subscribe. It means a lot to me. If you need any help or any educational content for further research, please go to our website in the description. There's a lot of resources for you guys to use. Thanks.